As an entrepreneur and a business owner, I can already tell you right now, you are working harder than you have to. You're grinding each and every day. You're getting up early, you're going to bed late. You're doing all the tasks and all the things and all the methodologies in order to get new leads, satisfy those leads, fulfill those leads, get new clients, referrals, all those other things. But what if you had a tool at your disposal that allowed you to live the lifestyle of your dreams, that allowed you to live the life that you want, travel to the places that you want? What if you had a tool at your disposal that generated leads for you, that did the hard work and did all the selling for you so that you could focus on the work that you enjoy doing the most? Well, that's what we're talking about today with our guest, Tom Perkins. And we're going to be talking about the greatest tool of all that you could have in your arsenal, which is a well-optimized website. We're going to talk about what goes into an amazing website. We're going to talk about how a website can create an ideal quality of life for you. We're going to talk about what your website doesn't have right now and the reason why it's not working the way that you wanted to in order to generate new leads. We're diving into all these things today. But before I introduce Tom to you, you know the fee for the broadcast. When you take away a tip, a strategy, an insight, a philosophy, a smile, maybe we made you laugh, then all that we ask is you share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. Share it with another entrepreneur, business professional who needs to optimize their website and who hopefully won't get offended when you tell them that they need to do so. So without further ado, let's talk to our guest of the hour, my friend, Mr. Tom Perkins. And for those who don't know Tom, he's a very well-dressed man, and he is a dad of two fantastic kids, a husband to a beautiful wife, and a massive petrol head and owner of Evolve websites. He's passionate about helping small business owners create awesome websites that actually generate leads. Tom, I'm glad we made it happen, brother. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Great to be here. What an intro. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great intro for a great individual. Because I told you we networked a few months ago and we got on a call. We met for the first time. And I think we met through James West. We met through the Only Network, and which used to be a partner at the Only Network, which was super cool. And we talked all about that. But I left our chat and conversation together and I went to talk with someone else. Very great person, but the energy was very, very different. And the conversation was very different. And it's very clear and inspiring that you've been able to build the life that you've built, the life that you want, doing what it is you love, which is helping business owners create strong websites, but also to create a great quality of life for themselves. So I commend you for that. Congratulations on the lifestyle you've built. Now, where did that come from for you? Like, have you always known like the life that you want to live? Have you always known how you're going to get there? Like, how did this journey of entrepreneurship begin for you?
Do you know what? I'm quite lucky in a way. I have kind of always known what I wanted. I've been quite clear about that. We got, as you say, I got a boy who's 6 and a girl who's 3. My boy, you give him 5 options, he wouldn't be able to choose. My girl is like me; she knows exactly what she wants. I've always had quite a clear vision of that. I knew I wanted my own business. The difference is when I set up my business, which was 15 years ago, I set up my business and I'd thought, being a designer, I'd thought long and hard about what font I was going to use, what color I was going to use. I hadn't thought about any of the important stuff, like how I was going to get clients. At that point, I thought I wanted a big business. And it was only seeing a friend go through an experience where they built a reasonable sized business and how horrendous that experience was for him, that after that, 2.5 years after that, when their business went bust, I then made the call, right, I'm going to sacrifice the potential to make millions. And I'm going to have a quality of life that a good quality of life. I'm going to work with people I enjoy, both staff and clients. And I'm going to remember what's important,
Yeah. And how did you even know what that lifestyle was? Did you sit down before you even went into the weeds of things and decide this is what I want my ideal lifestyle to look like? Because that was before you had kids, even 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm curious even to know like how that changed once you did have kids, like that vision that you had back then. Is it different than the vision that you then created once you had children?
I think it. I don't want to use the pun evolves, but I'm going to. I think it evolves over time. So I think there's a certain element of being selfish to be selfless. Like I want to be a great dad, a great husband, a great son, a great brother, etc. But to do that, I need to be happy. So you mentioned about being a petrol head. I love my cars, love my motorbikes, I love speed. if I I'll get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll get up at 5:30 or something, I'll get out on the motorbike, I'll go for a ride for a couple of hours, I'm back by 7:30, my wife and kids have just got up, they're having breakfast. For the rest of the weekend, I'm done. My box is ticked. So I can then be the dad, be the husband, all the rest of that. So I think that helps, I've always kind of had, it's strange, I've always kind of had a selfish streak where I've known what matters to me, and I've focused on those things, but not, I don't want to do those at the expense of others. I want to do those so I can tick that box. So I've got my thing, I'm fulfilled, and then you can do the rest for the other people, whether that be family or clients or whatever.
Yeah. I like how you said being selfish so that you can even be selfless, because there's this idea, especially in entrepreneurship and with the people out there like Gary Vee, who are like, give, just do for others, reciprocity. All of it's very true, right? And it has its place. But when you're at the very, very beginning of things and you're not even having sales come in, or you're having a very low level of sales come in, it's very hard to be selfless and give if you're not having the income come in beforehand, right? By having more, you can actually give more. By having a successful business, you have the means to give, to do the things that bring you joy. It's hard to, and again, just using a cliche quote, it's hard to pour from an empty cup, right? Fill the cup first and then pour. But for the viewers out there, for those who follow every single episode, like we've got Jim Kunkel with us right now. Jim, you follow every episode. There's a common theme over the last few conversations that we've had with successful entrepreneurs. And that theme is designing your life before you even create the business model, right? And it's very clear that by being able to do all the things that you've done, you very consciously and carefully designed the life that you want to live. The life that you want to live. You're not just going into things blind, shooting from the hip, hoping that things stick to the wall, right? You knew before you started that this is what you wanted to do. And I know that you said you were and are a designer. Why websites though? And you have a very unique business model for how you do things, which we will dive into, but why did you pour everything of yours into becoming a master at creating high quality and effective websites?
It's a good question. So when I set up, I set up in 2007, as I said, I was a freelance graphic designer. When I set up, I was, I designed lots of different stuff. So I designed, logos, brochures, business cards, websites, advertising, the whole range of stuff, anything I could get paid to design, really. And, I think it's really difficult to be good at all those things. That's really tough to do. Clearly, the market was moving that way anyway. So, print was dying off, web was growing. And it came to the point where it was obvious to me that actually, I wanted to focus 100% on one thing, but also I really wanted to kind of, to focus on something where I had the model where the business could grow. And previous to that point, I was on the hourly rate model. I was on the one-off model, the same as every other design agency I'd ever worked with used. And that model is chaotic. My cash flow was all over the place. My workload was all over the place. They were never in sequence. That's a bizarre thing. It was like, why am I flat out busy, but I've got no money in the bank? Or vice versa. I'm rolling in cash, but I've got no work at all. It was when I took that step, really. And I remember, so I used to have an office at my parents' house. And it was like, when was it? I think it was November 2010. I launched Evolve January 2012. I came downstairs, I was chatting to my dad in the lounge, and I said to him, and I remember using these words, if we can't get this sorted, or if I can't get this sorted, I'm going to kill it. Now, up to that point, that business had been my baby. Mm-hmm. I couldn't contemplate using the word kill it. And I think something fundamental happened in a shift there, where all of a sudden, it wasn't that I would sacrifice everything for this thing. It was this thing needs to work for me.
Yes.
And at that point, that's when I really started looking at business models. That's when I decided on the subscription model that, as you say, we'll come on to. And with the subscription model, there are certain things that doesn't fit. A logo, for example, a logo is pretty much done. Once it's done, you might give it an update or a rebrand in a few years' time, but it doesn't need constant maintenance. Whereas with websites, they are never done. They are never finished. So it suits that subscription model really nicely.
I'm constantly changing my website, man. Constantly
Brilliant,
doing it.
brilliant.
And less over the last year that I've become, like what you said, I've become much more clear on who I am and what I do and the business model that I operate from. And it's changed a lot less since then. And also the benefit of honing in on that one specific thing is when you're focusing on the logos and the stationery and everything else that go along with what you were doing as a designer, because the reality is, even if I asked you to create a logo for me, you could probably do a damn good job at doing so, better than most other people could do. But you would say no to that project because it's not in your zone of genius, right? It's not in the lane that you've decided to go down. And for those listening, ask yourself, what is your current zone of genius? Like when others ask you to do things that you're good at, what would you say no to because it's not the lane that you've decided to go down? And what is that lane that you're going to decide to go down? Because it frees up your focus. It makes you happier at what you do, but then it makes you a master at the one lane that you've decided to go down. So you perform that one piece of work and others look at it and they're like, oh my God, how could this person possibly be as good at this thing as they are? But it's because you focused and you've decided to master that. It's a mindset of mastery.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your unique model because you have a membership model for websites. And there's people listening right now, just to set the stage, who don't have a website, right? They don't know where to begin. They think that starting a website is going to cost them $5,000 to $10,000, right? We're in the US, so we'll use dollars, not pounds, right? And it's what you do is very unique. So I'm curious, the question I'll ask you to begin here is, who is a website for, Tom? Like, is there anyone that you say, oh, you don't need a website? Or like, who is a website perfect for?
That's a good question. I think I would answer that by saying it depends, which is what quite a lot of questions lead to. I think it depends on the business, depends on the type of business, particularly depends on the sector they're working in. There's websites and there's websites. There's lots and lots of different websites. So even though, like you say, I focused on just websites, I've then niched down further to say, look, I don't do e-commerce websites, I don't do online shops, I don't do online training sites, I don't do online membership sites. What I do is lead generating websites for service-based businesses. So super, super focused. And going back to what you mentioned previously, you're absolutely right. By doing one thing and doing it really well, it means that I can then focus on that 100%. I know service-based businesses inside out, and I know their customers inside out. I know the lead generation techniques for them inside out. You asked me a question about e-commerce. Yes, I know a little bit, but I'm not your man. And it means that then that whole new client kind of acquisition process is super simple, because it's either yes, I'm perfect for you, or sorry, I'm not your man.
Yeah.
And it makes that conversation, and also it means that my website, half the time I don't even get the phone calls from people looking for an expert in Magento or whatever it may be, because they look at my website and go, oh, he's not the guy for me.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it means then hopefully they can go and find someone who is,
I'm curious, how often when you work with somebody to create a website, especially service-based businesses who say, Tom, I really need customers. This is the income goal I want to reach. This is the amount of leads I need to get there. So they've done the basic math, which a lot of entrepreneurs and especially coaches out there just haven't done, right? How often do you encounter when you're putting this website together or doing the consultation with the person that there's no offer there, right? There's no offer. There's no clear product. Like, how often are you saying to this person, because now this is also out of what you're most likely willing to do, right? Because that's a whole separate beast of helping someone create an offer. I see a lot of people, and the point is, I see a lot of people who create the website, get all the things, the business cards, all of that, the logos, but they don't even know what the hell they're selling. They don't even know what their product is. So how often do you see that? And what do you then say to those people?
Do you know what? I see that a fair bit. The biggest one for me is when you say offer, like I see two offers. I see the offer from the business, as in, okay, what do you want me to pay you money for? But in terms of lead generation, I see the offer on the website, and I see those as two different things.
What's the difference between those two things?
So if for example you've got a I've got a client that does joinery, carpentry. They work with wood. that's their offer, and it's very much a bespoke service. So their offer isn't fantastic in that they don't have fixed prices, they don't have set products, they don't, you know, that you want something made in wood, they will make it for you. But the offer at the front end of the website is very much right. What steps are you going to offer me in order for me to get in touch? How are you going to encourage me to get in touch? So I'll give you an example. There was a you know, I run website workshops, and there was a lady there who had a number of hair salons, you know, hairdressers, and she came along, and I explained to her, look, you know, it's all very well having a great website, it needs to get found, all of that sort of stuff. You need to make a great impression, but the key part, the last step that so many people miss, is when you present them with an offer. Right, this is like a free website review, or a free consultation, or a free ebook, or whatever it may be, you know, that free thing where you're like, okay, I was on the fence, but yes, I'm going to get in touch. She said to me, she said, yeah, I get it, but we haven't really got anything we can offer. And I said to her, well, you know, do you offer coffee in your salons? And she was like, yes, it's the best coffee. We've got amazing espresso machines. Like, right, okay. So how about if you had something on your website that said, book an appointment to meet your stylist in person, have a tour of the salon, and get a free cup of coffee?
Cool.
She's like, yeah, we could do that. And I'm like, there you go. Like, that's an offer that you could put on the website that would hopefully encourage someone when they're there on the website, rather than expecting someone to pick up the phone. That's something where it's like, oh, cool. I want a tour of your salon. I want to see all the nuts and bolts. I want to meet my stylist to see whether I like her or him. And I want that free cup of coffee. You know, that's something worth signing up for.
I love that example. And for everyone listening, because I know a lot of coaches are listening, think of what you just said. One, the offer for the business. Sure. Your product might be, I have a 3-month program as a relationship coach that I bring you through to help you get this specific result. That's great. However, you're likely not going to have a button on the website as soon as someone lands there that says, book me for 3 months to be a relationship coach. Right? That's like going to a first date and like proposing on the first date, right? You're probably going to get a no. You might get a yes every now and then, but you're probably going to get a no. But then the second thing is the offer that brings them into your world, like that free cup of coffee, the tour around the salon. For a relationship coach, maybe that offer is, hey, you know, check out the 15 top best pickup lines that you can use the next time you're out at a networking event. Maybe not like a normal networking event, but like a dating event or something like that. I don't know if you're going to want to be using those in normal networking events, but, or the salon example. What if, you know, maybe the service is they're going to become your stylist for month after month after month, but to get them into your world, maybe she has a graphic or a guide or an ebook that is literally the 10 newest chic hairstyles that won't kill your hair, won't cost a lot of money, and won't take a lot of time, right? And then they could put their email address in, they could download that, and then they're going to see pictures of you doing these hairstyles, and then they'll know you as the stylist that can help them get that specific style. Yeah. So is that what you mean by the difference in the offer?
Exactly that. Yeah. I mean, you obviously you need a strong offer in both places. You know, a business needs a strong offer at the end. But you also, you know, in terms of lead generation, you need that strong offer up front. It needs to be free, it needs to be no risk, and it needs to be value packed. They're the 3 things. If you can nail those 3, and I always say to clients, if it feels uncomfortable, you're onto something. Like if you say to someone, you know, what can you give away for free on your website? Like, can you give away, I don't know, a free quote? I hate when people say free quotes. Like, when would a quote not be free? It's ridiculous. But, you know, if that's comfortable, if I said to someone, could you offer a free quote on your website? They'd be comfortable saying that. Well, that's not good enough. Like, you need something where you say to someone, right, like my free website review, you know, that takes me probably an hour every time. Now, depending on how you value your time, you know, that's quite a significant investment of money that I'm giving away every time someone wants a free website review. The fact is, if people are time wasters, most time they don't even sign up. And it's an opportunity for me to do the dance with the customer, to show my value, all that sort of stuff. So if it makes you feel uncomfortable with how much you're giving away, then I think you're onto something. And then it'll stand out. That's the other thing. Then it's like, wow, really? Can I get that for free? You know? Yeah.
And I remember we talked the last time and I said, Tom, you know, on average, how many of these website reviews are you doing? And you told me. And the thing is, it takes an hour of your time, but you're not doing 500 of them every single week, you know? So you get to choose okay, I'm going to help this person with this website review. Even if they aren't going to do business with me immediately, you're going to have their contact information, you're going to have their email, but most importantly, they're going to know you as the website guy who even 3 months down the road can help them do this. And you're going to do this website review for them, right? Because again, this is what we're going to talk about after, but you do offer these free website reviews for entrepreneurs and anyone who has a website and they're wondering, how can I have this generate more leads? You're going to do this for them. And they're going to say, wow, Tom, this looks incredible. Thanks for all this great information. But people aren't paying you for the information. People are going to pay you for the implementation, right? Like if you go to my website, the offer that I give people is the peak performance guide for sales teams. And it's for sales leaders who want to elevate their sales performance, who want to make their people happy to actually come to work. A lot of salespeople aren't happy in today's world. And I give it all away, man. Everything. I give the entire quarter-long program away, step by step by step. I even say there how you can use this to train your own sales team. Like I give them how they can do it. And I felt uncomfortable doing this. I was like, wow, 1 leader out of every 10 might take this and actually use it themselves and get these results. That's fine, right? Because most of them aren't going to be able to implement, not based on their skill, but based on their time, right? Sure. And based on their resources. So again, guys, think about it this way. People are not going to pay you for information. They're going to pay you to implement the free gift that you gave them, right?
I like that. You could learn to build a car if you wanted to. Like literally, if you wanted to do it from scratch, cast the metals, all that information is out there. Why would you bother? You'd go and buy one. And you're exactly right. Same with the website. I used to run website workshops, and I swear, so many of the attendees for that workshop used to come along thinking, right, I've done my own website. I'm going to get some tips. I'm going to take them away, and I'm going to improve my own website. They sit there through a 2-hour workshop where I'm throwing information at them left, right, and centre. Hopefully, and 9 times out of 10, they go, do you know what? For £129 a month, I'm just going to get Tom to do it. I quite like him. He's quite a nice guy. Seems to know what he's talking about. Why would I bother? I'm going to get my evenings and my weekends back and get someone else to do it. My family.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. What we're talking about here is, okay, someone goes to the website. I'm going to ask you what people are doing wrong in a second here, because I got to know, like, when you go to these websites, people hire you to fix, and you're looking at it, like, what are the red flags that others listening can use too? But I think it's important for people to know, because they're probably wondering, okay, well, I gave them my gift, but how do I even know who this person is, right? What we're talking about here is you're building a list of people. Right. So they come to your website, they click the button as soon as they land on your website. It's front and center. They see it. They click the button. They download the guide. They have an expectation, understanding of what they're going to get. And then that name and email address is then added to a list that you have been given permission to reach out to that person and to see if you can serve that person in different ways. And maybe you send out a monthly newsletter. I know an individual, one of my business partners, actually, Brian Rollo, and I don't think he'll be upset if I share this, but most of his business comes from his monthly newsletter. Like, he started his business 3 or 4 years ago, and it started off slow, but now literally he's over inundated with business. Like, he literally has, just like what you were saying before we talked, you're like, I'm wicked busy right now. And I'm like, well, do you have a team helping you? And you're like, I don't want that, right? That's like the opposite of the lifestyle goal that I want, which brings us back to designing your life. But 90% of Brian's business is literally from the monthly newsletter that people got onto because he promised them monthly leadership tips to help them improve their team and their business. Yeah. So it gives you their email address that you can then contact them. That's what lead generation is all about, guys. It's not people calling your phone at all hours of the day. It's a funnel, right? So you give them something, you get their email address, you have a set pattern of communication, and maybe you offer them different things down the line too as you ascend the funnel. But that's what we're talking about here, right?
Exactly. And it's really interesting in SEO, so search engine optimization, which for those that don't know, most probably do, but that's getting your website higher up the Google rankings. In there, we talk about intent, and this is very similar to the funnel model. In that, towards the top of the funnel, you've got informational intent. So that's when someone might Google, what's the best recipe for a birthday cake. They don't want to buy a birthday cake at that point. They just want a recipe for a good one. That's informational stuff. So that's high up in the funnel. And you're exactly right. What that newsletter sequence or whatever sequence you have does then, it nurtures you along, hopefully moves you down that funnel. What you then get is what's called commercial or transactional intent. And that's when commercial is when someone's looking for who the best hairdresser in Southampton is. Transactional intent is when someone says, right, give me the phone number for this business now. Those things, that's when someone's really ready to buy. And I think getting an understanding of that can be quite useful as well. So on a website, you'd have different types of content for those different intents. If someone is looking for just some information on how to be a great leader, that's a blog post. And that needs to be quite soft in terms of its sales focus. It can't be too aggressive. If someone's looking for the best sales coach in Seattle, all of a sudden your sales page, then your page that talks about sales coaching, that's a different intention. The person there isn't just looking for information. They're actually interested in finding a sales coach. So then you can be a bit more aggressive. And, I think it's important to understand those, the kind of the process the buyer goes on. And we all go through it. That's the thing. Sometimes people aren't necessarily aware of it, but, I think it's useful to understand that.
So let's talk about that. So what are the different sections that we should be having on our website? So you just mentioned a few. You talked about, number one, you should have information, which can take the form of a blog post. Maybe you have a podcast you link to. Maybe it's a video that you post on the page, and then there's a blog that goes along with the video that you simply transcribed, right? That all helps with the search engine optimization. For the people who are hyper buyers, the people who are like, I need a sales trainer now, we're struggling, who is the best person that can help me? They go to Google, they type in sales trainer, boom, Brandon Eastman pops up. They click it. If I just offer them, hey, let me give you the peak performance guide, they're going to be like, I don't want that. I don't want to do that. Like, how can I contact this guy? So I like what you're saying now of that one front end offer might not be good for the 10% of people who are just hyper buyers. They want to make a decision now. So what are the different sections that you look at when you're creating a website for somebody?
So the fundamental things are, like we said, giving them a strong offer that's hopefully going to get them over the line. But you're absolutely right in what you're saying. Some people just want to buy there and then. So I think having, understanding those different pages, having your informational pages, which will be, for example, your blog post, your case study, your video, your podcast, information marketing. But then hopefully when someone's looking for that sales coach, and this is a really important thing that a lot of people miss, you don't really want them to find your homepage. And this is where having service pages on your website or product pages, or however you kind of, however you phrase it, having service pages is so important. Because if someone's looking for a sales coach, and if your website is set up properly, then Google shouldn't show them your homepage. It should show them your sales coaching page. And that's the point. Then they never see your homepage. They never see your blog. They never see your case studies. They never see your podcast. Never see your videos unless they choose to. What they see is that service page. And that service page, then, that's their entry point. And hopefully, it's not their exit point. Hopefully they don't bounce back, bounce and go. So then that service page can then be quite focused on, right, okay, I know that 9 times out of 10, a person coming to this page is really interested in what I offer, quite close to buying. So now I can talk in a slightly different language. I can talk more about the nuts and bolts rather than the loose high level stuff. And then dig into, right, what's the next steps if you want to go ahead with this. Obviously, you should always have your phone number in the header of the website. So if someone wants to pick up the phone, which I think we do too little these days. I think an actual conversation is always so powerful. The phone number's there. The contact details are there. Still have the offer there. That general offer, because they may be higher up the funnel and they may just be thinking about it, and you may need to tip them over the line. But also give them the tools they need to buy right there and then.
You will get people like that too. You will find them to where they literally email you and they're like, can you tell me exactly what your program is? This is what we want. What's your program? And in a situation like that, it's okay to not be salesy, but be direct and say, this is my service. This is the investment for that service. Tell me a bit about your event, what you're looking to achieve, or whatever your services are. Some people are going to be looking for a business coach, or they were referred over to you. And again, they're not just going to want your free gift. They're going to want to call the number and get signed up with you as their business coach, especially once you're more established and known in the marketplace, especially if you have content marketing that goes along with this, which is a whole other conversation that then leads them to the different website pages. But a couple things that I want to know is, what are the biggest mistakes that people are making, other than one? I'll just say this for you. The number one mistake is people are making their own websites. Number one mistake. Unless you are a designer, unless this is what you do full time, don't make your own website, guys. Maybe at the very, very beginning, just to have it, to get that sense of accomplishment. If you need that, create the Wix page, do the WordPress, whatever makes you feel better. But if you want a website that actually creates leads, get with a professional like Tom. Schedule a call with him so you can figure out exactly how we can help you. I think you'll be very surprised at the investment required. It's very, very low barrier of entry because it's about relationships with Tom. It's about the long haul. So don't do it yourself. That's the number one mistake. But when you're working on these websites, what are people doing wrong, which are easy fixes for you, but they don't even think about it?
I mentioned about those service pages. They are by far and above the biggest opportunity, 9 times out of 10. The first thing I see sometimes is that clients might have a services page, and on that services page they might talk about the 6 or 8 services they offer, for example. But that's it. They don't go any deeper than that. There's no sub pages. It's just an overall service page. Now the trouble is, if someone's looking in Google for one of those services, let's say you've got 10 services on that page. That page is 10% about that thing that customer's looking for. Well, in Google's eyes, if someone else has a page that's 100% about that, they're going to show that rather than your one that's 90% not about that, only 10% about it. So, by doing that, by breaking services down so they have their own subpage, that's a big step straight away, because you've then got a page which is 100% about that thing. Yeah. Then on that page, and like I said, hopefully if that page is set up well and your website's ranking well with Google, hopefully when someone's looking for what you offer, they find that page. They will enter via that page. They'll possibly leave via that page. So it's really important on that page, obviously, to tailor your language and your messaging like we talked about, but also include some relevant content. And so often I talk to people and I'll say to them, so, have you got testimonials? And they're like, oh yeah, we've got a testimonials page. And it's within their about section. Have you got case studies? Yeah, we've got case studies. Where are they? In our about section. Have you got a blog post about sales coaching? Yeah, it's in my blog. So you can't expect people to go hunting round for this stuff. So if you've got one testimonial that's really, really good, says, Brandon is the best sales trainer I've ever come across, put that on your sales training page. You have a little link to say, see more testimonials, but make sure that one is like front and center. The same with case studies. If you've got a case study of this company where you 10x their sales, put a link to that case study or a little snippet of that case study, again with a link there on that service page. Include, if you've got relevant blog posts, again, make reference to it from within that service page. So then you're almost treating those service pages as little microsites. Because if they rank well, they will be microsites. They're landing pages, effectively. Google, traffic's going to come straight in there. They're not going to go via your homepage. They're not going to go via your testimonials page. None of that stuff. They're going to come straight in. So that's the main thing I see. It's about separating out those service pages so they have their own page for a start, but then optimizing that and looking at that in isolation to think, right, if someone only saw this, are they seeing the best of me? Are they seeing all the information they need to know about my business?
Wow, there's so many different layers here that you should have. Like, I'm even thinking of my website, it's not layered in that way. Like it's a few pages. It's literally one page. I've got a few different actions for them to take, but I don't have like a separate page for just my core service. I don't have a separate page for other services, for workshops, for keynotes, things like that. So I'm listening to you and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of room for me to improve here. Is there one thing in particular that by just adjusting or changing this one thing, you've seen clients drastically improve the results? And I know you kind of just mentioned one, and that might be the one thing, but like, if you could only go to my website, Tom, and obviously we won't show it and stuff like that, but if you could go there, what would most likely be the one thing that you would change in order to, if you could only do one thing in order to improve the amount of leads that I'm generating for my business? Just one thing.
One thing. That's hard because there's loads of things I don't want to do. Not there's loads of things you can do. for a service-based business, for a local service-based business, particularly a trade. So if someone's a window cleaner or a chimney sweep or anything like that, Google My Business, getting a listing on Google can make a huge difference. Google obviously prioritizes its own services. When someone searches for those type of services where Google knows, okay, this person is looking for, a window cleaner in this area, it's going to show the map pack first, the map results. And if your business isn't on there, you're missing out. They're going to have to scroll down below that. So that can make a big difference for certain businesses. I think all businesses should have it, but it's really powerful for some. In terms of on the page itself, I think I'm going to fail miserably here, and I'm going to say more than one. I'm sorry, but the call to action and the button is one really important thing. So often I see like really subtle, sexy websites. Say it's got a white background. Say the page has a white background. Their button is a white button with a bit of text in like a really light, sexy font, and then it's got like this thin little border around the button.
It's camouflaged.
If I blinked, I would miss it. Make it really bold, make it really strong, make it a color that stands out, make it a different color, a unique color. Like, don't pick a color that's already used on your page. Make it like your accent color or something, and then have that at the end of the content, at the beginning of the content. So in your header, where your title is that says sales coaching or sales workshops, under there, put the button, a duplicate of the button that says book a free, schedule a free call with me, whatever your offer is. And then if you've got a really, really long page, there's no harm in putting it in the middle of the page somewhere as well.
Yeah.
That can make a big difference, because quite often people they might have a great offer, but are they really making it simple for the user to see that offer, to click that offer?
Yeah.
Put it in a few places.
It's like when you put the big red button in front of somebody and it literally says, don't press this button. Like, what does everyone do? They hit the button. If the button was white on a white background, though, you wouldn't be compelled to hit the button, right? It's that contrast that gets you to dive in. But this is something that as a designer, but as an entrepreneur, service-based business owner, you might not have that designer brain, and that's okay because other people do. Let them do it. But it's what you're saying too is make it very clear the action that you want that person to take once they reach your website. Like when they reach the website, I don't want to know about you, right? I don't want to see a really cool picture that's got no relevance to what I want. Yeah. I want to see what you want me to do, right? It's kind of like in sales, there's a process that you bring people along. Like I worked in retail sales for years and years and years, and I would see people just talk with customers at the door as soon as they walk in, and they would stand there and just talk for 5-10 minutes. And we call that the doormat sale. Like you never bring them back to the computer. But if you're not at the computer and you're not in their actual account, you can't sell them anything, right? So bring and direct the customer where you want them to be. If that's downloading your free guide, scheduling the free call, then have that front and center. Make it a sexy button that they get to push. Like make it satisfying for them to push that button. Yeah. Like add the shadow to it, right? Add the contrasting color. Yeah. These simple things that you're like, yeah, maybe a 5-year-old would care, but we're children at heart, right? Yeah, that's who we are.
And one nice little thing you can do is you can do like a timed CSS animation with like the background color. I'm not saying you change it from red to green every 10 seconds, but just a subtle little shimmer.
Cool.
Having that on, so like every couple of seconds, it's like the color of the button just shimmers, like maybe something passes through it. That can work really well for exactly that trick. It's like, oh, what was that?
Yeah.
Just to catch the eye.
Exactly. I love that. I'm curious because you work with so many different businesses. I know this is like a kind of a big question, but is there a specific type of offer that generally has a very good conversion of people actually clicking it and downloading or going through with the action you want them to take? Like as an example, we talked earlier of, the 10 new cheek hairstyles. We talked about pickup lines. We talked about free cup of coffee in the salon. Like, is there a specific kind of front end offer that works better than others from what you've seen?
I think, again, I'm going to start with it depends. Sorry, I'm a terrible guest.
Okay.
If for coaches particularly, like free discovery calls using Calendly, where you can literally schedule it there and then, That works pretty well. It's a little bit generic because everyone's starting to do a free discovery call.
Exactly.
But, you know, the fact that you can schedule it there and then, and when people use Calendly, don't add the button that then takes them to a Calendly page where they can book their appointment. Calendly offer a pop-up widget.
Oh.
So without even leaving the page, you add this bit of code, you add your button as normal, that looks like your button, but when you click it, it loads a little pop-up on top of your page where they can book into your diary. That works really well because then they're not getting taken away.
Yeah.
They're not even leaving that page. They're doing that there and then. The one that you know that I always refer back to, I had a client who they ran a martial arts academy. Now for them, they offered a free 30-day trial, and their programs were not cheap. You know, a month in their school was quite a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They offered a free 30-day trial. Now they used to get tons and tons of sign-ups for that because I mean it's self-explanatory. You know, they're a high value offer. You know, high value school. You know, someone's interested in martial arts, so you know, so they sign up. They sign up for the free trial. They want to take advantage of that. The beauty is that for that business, the lights were already on. They already had the heating on. They were already paying their instructors to be there because they were running classes for their students. So the fact that there was 5-10 extra bodies in the back of the room who were there for the free trial makes no difference at all. But for the customer, that's got a ton of value because that's saving them, you know, hundreds of pounds, whatever their score was per month. That I think is genius. You know, that's so clever because it costs nothing, but it has a ton of value. I mean, it's the perfect offer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very true. I think too that what's really important is, I'm not saying copy someone else, but ask yourself, like, there's 5,000 other relationship coaches probably within like a 2-state radius, maybe even less, right? Like, look at what other people who are actually successful, or, you know, you're probably not going to ask them, are you successful at what you're doing? But look at their pages and get an idea. Does it look like this person has a lot of testimonials? Do they have a lot of reviews? Are they popping on social media? Which doesn't always mean that they're successful, by the way. But go to their website and look at what their offer is, and, you know, download it and go to it and see what it looks like, see how it's structured, and check out 5 other people in your niche, maybe 10, maybe 20. It's market research, and go through and see what other people are doing. And then just try something, like model something that already works rather than reinventing the wheel entirely for yourself.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I did my free website review. I added it on because I was a bit quiet, you know, work was a bit quiet. And I was like, I've seen a few people do this. It's a complete gimmick. Like, no one's ever going to want it because everyone does it. But you know what? I mean, quite often you're absolutely right. You know, I tried it. I put it on there. What's the worst that can happen? And then when it came through, I then worked out how I was going to deliver it, because at that point I didn't have my process set for that. But the really nice thing is, there's quite often there's things in there that you don't appreciate first off. There was when I launched Evolve, you know, with the model. There's all these benefits that you're not always aware of from day one. And with the website review, like I said, you know, yes, they get a website review. That's fine. It gives me the opportunity to, like I said, kind of do that dance, going back to that dating analogy. You know, it's like, okay, now we're interacting. Now we can start to kind of show each other what we got. But when that really took off is when I added the phone call.
Mm.
So I used to do website reviews, and I used to email them through, and I used to sit and wait.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to get really offended in 2 weeks' time when they hadn't even responded.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're busy. Why would they respond? Like, they're flat out running their business. They're probably quiet. They're struggling for business. That's why they need the website review. But they're not going to take the time to phone me back. But when I started to arrange a phone call, and I still send the PDF through, the PDF report, but I then say to them, look, I'll give you a call in a couple of days' time. We'll spend half an hour just talking it through, answering any questions you've got. That's when it really took off. Because in the amount of times in that conversation, I've got halfway through and people have gone, do you know what, Tom, let me stop you there. What would it cost for you to do this for me? It's like 129 quid a month. And they're like, do you know what? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
You know, that was the missing piece.
That's brilliant. I love that. And what you said too, that's so important there, is you tested it. You saw what worked. At the beginning, you were probably tentative about doing it because you're like, is this going to be a time suck? Is this going to be way too much for me to take on? Like, I'm giving people so much with this review. And it is annoying when you literally do a review and you don't get a response back. Like, I will say the only cold email, and now I'll probably get 10 of them, but the only cold email that I actually reply to is when someone from Fiverr, as an example, like the best Fiverr sellers are the ones that will email me a review of my funnel, or they will download my guide and they'll say, hey, I would have designed this differently. Here's what I would have done. Or I recently had one with my YouTube channel. They showed my YouTube channel and they circled all the SEO things on my YouTube channel and said, if you had titled this differently, then your score would have been this. It would have gotten you better search rankings. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. They actually sent me screenshots and everything. I didn't ask for it. I didn't sign up for it. But I responded and said, hey, I don't want your services right now, but I will keep you in mind for when I do. Thanks for doing this quick review. So, yeah, it's a high service activity that you're providing by doing that. But for everyone, that might not be the case. Like for someone else, it might be a different kind of service that resonates better with your niche or your audience or your business. So test it and see what works best for you. So I'm curious to know, Tom, because we literally simply brushed on your specific model of doing things, which is a membership model. It's different than anything I've ever heard about. So I want you to dive in. This is your time to talk about, okay, what does it look like to work with Evolve? What's it look like to work monthly with you? Like, talk to me about that process of where it begins and how it looks maintenance wise.
Okay. So I'll start with how it came about. So as I said, when I set up my business, I worked on the hourly rate model, the one-off model, because that's how everyone else did it. And that goes as follows. For a website, that goes as follows. You need a website, Brandon, right? You come to me, what do you need? Okay, we'll talk about what you need. I'll estimate the time involved. I'll multiply that by my hourly rate. There you go. There's your price. Now, that's fine. But the trouble with that model is that, once you're done, I'm on to the next client because I need my next chunk of money. And the trouble is for the client, they have to outlay a load of money and they get no ongoing support because that business, that web designer is then on to the next one. So 2012, I launched the Evolve model, and it's a simple subscription model. So it's a fixed monthly fee, and that includes everything the client needs. So the design of the website, the build, the hosting, the maintenance, the support. Importantly, I include updates as well. So I've got my unlimited plan at $349 a month, and I've got my light plan at $129 a month. The key thing is businesses their website needs to stay fresh. A business is always changing. The marketplace is always changing. The world is always changing. Our customers are always changing. A website needs to keep up. If it's not keeping up, it's going out of date. So, I think it's so important that businesses have, the ability to make those changes. Yes, I'm sure, 99% of business owners that have websites have a control panel. So there may be people listening going, yeah, I can make changes myself. I can do that. The reality is, we're all busy. And quite often, marketing and website falls towards the bottom of the list when you've got proposals to write, or you've got staff issues to manage, or you've got, whatever it might be. But also, having someone there who can give you that advice, steer you in the right direction. Because often, it's like often there's 20 things you could do, but which one's going to move the needle? Which one should I be focusing my efforts on? And that's where I think having someone there can really help. So I work on a simple subscription model. My clients pay me every month, and I quite often say I don't really offer websites; I offer service. Like similar to what you said about the ideas and then the implementation, or the information implementation. It's a similar thing. Yes, my clients get a website. They can get a website from a million other web designers, or they could build it themselves on Wix or GoDaddy. That's not the point. For my clients, they are busy running their business. They want to know A, it's done properly, B, it's looked after. So, I host my client sites on really fast, really good quality servers. They're monitored 24 hours a day. Every month I've got a VA who does link checks to check there's no broken links on my client sites. If they are, they'll be fixed. They do performance checks. And then importantly, whatever the business needs, they just drop me an email or give me a call, and I'll take care of it. And there's never any extra charges there. So it's a really nice model, and it means that I've got the freedom and flexibility to service my clients better. Does that make sense? Because rather than the old model where it's like, right, okay, how much are you willing to spend on this? And the client agrees to spend it, but then you're on the clock. And if you go over that time, you're then making a loss, and it's all time-based, all stressful. Now my clients pay me every month, whether they use me or not, which is obviously lovely for me. But
and
obviously
for them,
I have to be getting great value, because otherwise they're not going to keep paying me. So it means when one of them phones me up, they've already paid for some of my time. I can just be so relaxed with my time. I don't even track my time anymore because it's like, what do you need? You know, I'll give you as much time as you want because I've asked for what I want, which is that monthly income. I'm going to give you what you want. You know, it's a nice relationship.
Yes. And it keeps you fresh. Like as the entrepreneur, it keeps you wanting to stay fresh because you want your website to stay fresh. You know, you have that service available for you there that will keep it updated. Two questions based on that. The first is for the person who has no website at all, that membership includes you setting up their brand new website and everything. Is that true?
Yeah, that's it.
That's incredible. Okay. For the person who already has a website on a service that is different than the one that you use to build websites, do you help to transition that website over to your service?
I will always build a new one.
Always build a new one.
Always build a new one. And I get asked that quite a lot. Like, will you do some work on our website? I will always start from scratch because, you know, I've got my systems and processes and software that I use, which I use for a reason, you know, because it's very good. It always works. It gives great results. But also, you know, I can't think of a time when I've redesigned a website and not improved it. You know, if I redesigned a website and didn't improve it, I'd be pretty rubbish at my job. So there are always ways we can improve. And if there's things that a client likes about their current website or a thing that their current website is doing well, I'll build that into the new website as well. We'll keep that. You know, that's not a problem. But I think it always makes sense because quite often you know, it's like if you're working with something, quite often you're burdened by the way it was set up in the first place, or, you know, it's complicated to do things. Like starting from fresh, I think is always a good plan. And that if a client's got an existing website, that happens behind the scenes. You know, we develop their new website. Once it's ready to go, I simply switch it over and the new website's live.
That's incredible. I'm just going to tell you, it's like what you provide. It seems too good to be true. Like the cost, like I know you've got several different plans that people can go to, but even your unlimited plan, Tom, like I can see in the very near distant future how you're going to like double or triple those prices. Like it's only, and you're probably like, you probably already think I already know this. Like that's what I'm going to do and want to do. And you seem like such a nice guy to where I hope you realize that. And I hope everyone listening right now realizes you need to get in now, because Tom will be upping these prices. And if he doesn't, I'm going to tell him, like, you need to do this. And I will be on you every 3 months, because for the service you provide, and I've seen your websites, man. I've seen them. I've looked at them. Your reviews are outstanding. Like, go to Tom's LinkedIn page, guys. Don't just take it from myself and Tom. Like, read the many, many, many pages of recommendations and reviews and testimonials that he has from people who've had a website with him since years and years now. Like the proof is in the reviews that you get. So that's incredible. A couple other questions about working with you, because I know there's people that that want to already, like, including myself. I want to work with you. But another question is, if we do work with you, let's say we worked with you for a year and then things change and we don't work with you anymore. And throughout that year process, do we have the ability to go in and make changes to the website ourselves?
So clients can always log in and make changes themselves. I never limit that. You know, I want clients to keep their website fresh. I want them to be really involved. The reality is, for a lot of my clients, the reason they use me is because they don't love websites. They don't love, you know, sitting on a Saturday night trying to work out why they've broken their feed on their testimonials page or something like that. You know, they don't love that. So yes, they can. And I'll support them and train them in doing that. Absolutely. In terms of the 1 year thing, this is something I always explain to clients up front, because it is unusual. So there's a 2-year contract with my service. There has to be, because I have to recoup the time I put in initially. So there's a 2-year contract. After that time, I always retain ownership of the websites. And again, I always explain this up front. So much like Netflix or Spotify, you don't own the music, you don't own the films. With an Evolve website, you don't own the website. But, you know, the key point is, through that time, your website is improving, being updated, being monitored, getting better and better. Hopefully, my clients never leave me. And like you say, I've got testimonials from clients that have been with me for 10 years or so.
Yeah.
You know, if at the end of that point a client says, "Do you know what? I hate Tom. He's a horrible bloke. You know, don't work with him anymore," which hopefully never happens. Then they just go and get a website built elsewhere. And much like if they went down the one-off model and they paid upfront for a website now, in 3 years' time, that website would probably be so out of date if nothing happened with it, they would still put that in the bin and go and get one built elsewhere. So in a way, there's no difference. Hopefully, throughout the period, there's just a load of benefits in the it keeps improving, it's monitored, it's up to date, it's fresh, etc.
I love that. I think that's a brilliant model. I really do. And I think it's important for you to have those things in there, because if you didn't, then it's not sustainable for you to be able to offer the low prices and the value that you're able to offer your clients. So I appreciate you answering that question.
Cool.
Where can people go in order to get the free website review with you? Where's the best place to contact you for that?
So just on my website, evolvewebsites.co/review. Nice and simple.
evolvewebsites.co. Okay.
Review, yeah, that's it. Or just evolvewebsites.co. I mean, it's up there with a nice bright green button in the header. You'll be pleased to know.
The one that makes you want to click.
That's awesome. It, hopefully, yeah.
For those listening, that's evolvewebsites.co/review, or just go to evolvewebsites.co. Links are in the description. If you're watching it live, the link will be in the description after the episode ends the live performance. And Tom, what's your final question for you? What's your mission moving forward? Like in this chapter of your life, what are you looking to accomplish in this chapter when it comes to the lifestyle that you want to live, the people that you want to serve? What's your current mission statement for this chapter?
That's a good question. I'm really lucky. I've got a really nice lifestyle. A house, family, environment I love. So that's pretty much there. For me, maintaining that is really important. So I work really hard on controlling what goes in, what information I let in, if that makes sense. I don't watch a lot of news. I don't go on social media much. I think for me, and this is obviously a personal thing, it matters to me what goes in my head, because I think, getting a bit deep, your reality is in here. Reality, there is no such thing as reality. It's just stuff happens. It's processed by your brain. Your brain sees that, frames that in a certain way, and that goes in. That's what you think happened, So that means you've got control over what happens in a way. So for me, maintaining a good headspace, a good state of mind is really important. And that, like I said at the beginning, that allows me to be, a great dad, great brother, great husband, all the rest of it. And that's obviously really important to me. My focus really is on property. Buying buy-to-lets. I don't know if you call them buy-to-lets in the States, but renting out property, buying property investment, buying it to rent it out. That's my focus really. So if Evolve can tick the box and make enough money to generate some savings for the property investment, and it's not super aggressive. I bought one 5 years ago. I'm going to buy another one this year. It's not like building a multi-million-pound property portfolio, but hopefully that's going to be the vehicle to A, allow me and my wife to retire early, and B, give me a bit of a legacy to pass on to my kids and give them the freedom to, if they want to be an astronaut or something crazy, they hopefully can go and do it.
So or a website designer.
Website designer. Yeah, that's it.
You got to have someone take it over, brother. They'll love what you're doing. You never know, right? Just again, man, kudos to you for the life that you're building, for the vision that you have. I think if anyone takes anything away aside from the website portion of this conversation, it's the importance of designing and creating your life around the business that you love so much. Because if you think about why we have the business, like you said, we often think we sacrifice for this, but the business should be sacrificing and working for you. So switching the mindset from I will sacrifice to the business is going to do work for me. There's so many gems that people are going to get out of this conversation, brother. So again, thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that I now know you as a friend, and this was a great conversation, brother. So thank you very much, Tom.
Thanks, Brandon. Cheers.
Guys, you heard it. From lifestyle to designing your life to who a website's great for, what your website should include, how to optimize it, what to do if you don't want to spend any of your time building anything, then you know what to do next. You need to go to evolvewebsites.co. And if you want to, you can just go right to evolvewebsites.co/review and have Tom do a free website review for you. And if you don't have a website, then there's nothing to review, and you can have a great conversation about a website you can create together so that you can begin generating leads for your business so that you can live the lifestyle that you want to live, so that you can bring in the income to design your life. And as you can see, Tom is a great guy. He's just a really genuine, authentic dude. And I've spoken to him more than just this one time, and it was the same then, right? If you're going to do business with anyone, do business with Tom. Links are in the description below so that you can do that. If you took away any value from this conversation, all that we ask is you share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. We didn't run any ads. We didn't have any sponsors. We do that because you're the best part of the Be Better team, and we've grown organically because of you. So as always, thank you so much for watching and listening. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.